Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking another peek behind the curtain at the ins and outs of real estate investment, specifically the difference between short-term and long-term rentals here in Kansas City. I'm Joe Nelson of the Nelson Home Group, Google's highest rated real estate team in Kansas City. Whether you're a seasoned investor and especially if you're just starting out, understanding these two options can make all the difference in your investment journey. Let's talk about short-term versus long-term rentals and what's the best type of investment for you. Let's kick things off with short-term rentals, also known as vacation rentals. These are your Airbnb or VRBO type properties. Short-term rentals are unique. This kind of investment is for those seeking flexibility and a higher rental income. People will book for a weekend or a week or so in place of a hotel. In Kansas City, a short-term rental is any dwelling rented for less than 30 consecutive days. These are your vacationers or people on business trips. When their event is over, they'll check out and you'll have a quick turnaround to be ready for the next renter. One of the key benefits of short-term rentals is their potential for higher rental income. With nightly or weekly rates, especially during peak seasons or events, these rentals often attract guests willing to pay a premium for a unique and personalized experience. Factor in the incredibly short length of stay and the more short-term tenants you can potentially rent to, you have the opportunity to maximize your cash flow. It's definitely an investment type that's gaining in popularity. Right now, there are roughly 2,000 short-term rentals listed in Kansas City, about 7 to 11% of the city's overall hotel room supply. That brings up an important point though. The huge boom in short-term rentals when sites like Airbnb and VRBO first started gaining popularity left some markets oversaturated, leaving the supply much higher than the demand. Something else to keep in mind is that short-term rentals usually require a lot more attention than their long-term counterparts. While a long-term rental could have one trusted tenant for years, a short-term rental is going to see multiple tenants, often within the span of a month. These tenants will not have gone through the same verification process as a long-term tenant, and you simply aren't going to know them on a personal basis. One renter may wash out the sheets and take out the trash before checking out, while another may have walked around the carpet with mud on their shoes. Additionally, as of June 2023 in Kansas City, short-term rentals are now regulated by the city's Neighborhood Services Department for code enforcement, compliance, and community engagement. You have to register your short-term rental, provide additional documentation to the city, and make sure your dwelling even qualifies for a short-term rental, given its zoning and if it's also a residence. All of this extra verification adds another layer to work to maintaining the rental itself. You can find out more about Kansas City's short-term rental regulations on the city's website in their programs and initiatives section. Of course, there are also plenty of smaller municipalities around Kansas City that will have less restrictions and could be a good option. Just make sure you do your homework before you buy something for that purpose. As for the day in and day out work of managing a short-term rental, the best option is to hire an experienced short-term rental property manager. They know how to set you up for success, as well as taking the daily grind off your shoulders. You just have to make sure you can cash flow enough to offset that expense and still stay profitable. Now, let's talk about long-term rentals. Unlike their short-term counterparts, long-term rentals involve leasing a property to tenants for an extended period, typically a year or more. If you're interested in knowing more detail about the demand for long-term rentals in Kansas City, that video will be linked in the description box below, and here's a preview right here. For this video, just know that the demand is high and it isn't going down anytime soon. This type of rental offers steady rental income and a more passive income approach. One of the primary advantages of long-term rentals is their stability. With reliable long-term tenants, you can enjoy a consistent stream of rental income month after month. Plus, long-term leases provide greater security and reduced turnover, minimizing vacancy period and associated expenses. This also gives you the chance to get to know your tenant, giving you more control over who is renting out the property and allowing them to take on more of the day-to-day maintenance. Your time is freed up, there are less minor expenses out of your pocket, and you can bring in cash month to month with minimal hands-on activity. Of course, you've all heard the nightmare stories of tenants who have destroyed a property. They do exist, and that is a risk you will have to assume as a landlord either way. But with the right screening and consistent communication, you can avoid that in most cases. The property management route is also an option for an even more hands-off approach, but do not assume that means you'll be risk-free from the possibility of having property damage. Now that we've explored the basics of short-term and long-term rentals, let's compare the two to help you decide which is the right option for you. Short-term rentals offer a higher rental income potential and greater flexibility, making them ideal for investors seeking higher returns and the ability to use the property for personal use occasionally. However, they might also require a more hands-on management with responsibilities such as guest communication, cleaning, and regular maintenance. You also need to figure out whether or not your market is already oversaturated with short-term rentals. On the other hand, long-term rentals provide stable, passive income and require less day-to-day involvement. With longer lease terms and reliable tenants, long-term rentals offer a more predictable cash flow and reduced management responsibilities. However, they may yield lower rental income compared to short-term rentals over the course of an entire year. Additionally, short-term rentals will require significantly more upfront setup cost than a long-term rental. With a short-term rental, you've got to furnish the property as well as make sure there are everything from silverware and plates and pots and pans and cleaning supplies and all those things. With a long-term rental, your tenant takes an empty property. Ultimately, the choice between short-term and long-term rentals depends on your investment goals, risk tolerance, and really personal preference. If you're seeking higher rental income and are willing to put in the extra effort, short-term rentals may be the way to go. But if you prefer stability and passive income, long-term rentals offer a solid investment strategy. Either way, investing in real estate as one strategy in your portfolio is a good idea when done right. Well, there you have it, folks, a comprehensive overview of short-term and long-term rentals in Kansas City. If you'd like to chat with us about your real estate investing strategy, give me a call or shoot me a text. My phone number is on the screen and in the description below. We've also provided a link for you to download our free buyer's guide. It is a comprehensive guide for what to expect when buying a home, either for personal or investment purposes. If you've learned something today, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more Kansas City real estate tips and lifestyle videos. Let me and my team be your Kansas City real estate experts. See you next time.